SG defies boys' clubs, disrupts the norms, and builds billion-dollar ideas between bites. Meet Anna Gong, tech rebel, CEO, and unapologetically fearless. I'm Chris Choo, and this is HOTPLATE SG60. You are a very successful CEO of a tech company. You have won many accolades as a CEO, and you are known for your ability to turn around companies. Mm-hmm. I was tech in the early days, the first .com. Mm-hmm. And it was so heavily male dominated. The energy was all male.
Still is.
I've been out of the industry for what, 20 years? Mm-hmm. How is it now? Has it balanced out?
Well, we try. Certainly it's not without efforts in trying to be more diversified and inclusive. I think the industry has always gone one step forward, two steps back. There's so much celebration of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion for quite some time, the last few years. And we thought we made some progress, but recently there's been a lot of backlash as well, coming back to the forefront of, are we too equity focused, too much about diversity and inclusion? Why don't we go back to merit-based? Choose the best candidate for the job, rather than giving that spot for someone who may or may not fit the role just to have a checkbox fulfilled. And so who do we please? Where does this come from? So I think for most leaders at the helm, we have to actually drive that culture. And tech has not been equalized at all. There's no such thing as DEI if you look at it, no matter how hard we try. And for me, running a lean startup and been working with 4 or 5 other startups in the San Francisco Bay Area, these types of scenarios and environments, we just don't have enough females in STEM. And then we also make certain life choices during during cycles and seasons of our lives as women. We have to step back a bit, get married, have kids, and then, and so domestically, sometimes we also put a lot more effort in. So there's so many considerations.
Sure. Were you a nerd or tech geek from your youth? Or did you come to tech later by chance and fell into it and became successful? Were you tinkering on computers, coding from young? I'm just curious.
My life has always been like a sliding door. I make all these decisions and I should have gone left or right. And because I went left, here's my journey to tech. If I went right, I would have gone to Wall Street, and because I went to San Francisco and not New York, it kind of gave me a direction to move into tech. And that's the first, I would say, foray to my career is during the .com era. It was just so bustling and hustling with so much innovation, ideas, creativity, and you want to be part of it.
Are you happy that it happened this way? Would you have been happier in Wall Street in a hedge fund, or do you think?
I think we always have these hindsights or what could have been, but I think my life has come to this point for a reason.
That's good because you are a success. I mean, as they say, be grateful. Right?
Yeah. So I have to tinker with something. I have to come up with something novel, something disruptive, something to make an impact.
So I want to ask you a question that goes much deeper than just the surface of what one appears to be in an industry. So I've had experience in technology and in high finance. And one of the reasons I left both was that I found the demeanor you had to put on very artificial. More so in high finance, hedge funds and all that, you are expected to be extremely macho, chauvinistic, drink all the time, smoke, and hang out with the boys. I'm part that, but I'm not all that. I mean, it's like at one time I got sucked so deep into it. I said, this is nuts. This is not how a human being lives. You're poisoning yourself with too much alcohol. You're smoking too much just to be in the in crowd, worried that if you don't do it, your boss might fire you. I mean, what's your comment on this toxic culture? At least from my part, I see it, and there was to a great degree of it in tech. I mean, and I felt that this was an overdose of male energy.
Yeah. So going back to how these two streams, financial services and tech, those two were the ones that I actually want, because when you look at role models, there are no other role models except for the boys. And so then you look at, wow, the shiny objects, the lifestyle that they're living. So I want that because that was an example of success. And the material experiences and the superficial experiences were the shining, bright thing that we all want to aim for. And so I think when we look at what's truly authentic and make us happy, like for me,
I'm asking you these questions because there are lots of women out there in Singapore and worldwide looking at you through this podcast, hopefully. And they want to know the answers. They want to be themselves. They want to do a great job. They can do a great job. They have the talent. But they want to do without the toxic side of it. How does one navigate this?
It's a very hard question and answer to evaluate, because most of us were taught to achieve certain things for other people. When you truly are going after your authentic selves, you're not going to perhaps make any money. And all the CEOs I started to commiserate with, share stories with, most of them, their ideal authentic selves are actually artists, musicians, performing, like they want to do everything except for running a big P&L or do something like this, right? And so it's really interesting that we were born to do something else, but then we chase the game for somebody else.
Is that heroic or tragic, do you think? Or both?
I think eventually, most of us will have a period in our lives to say we have arrived. And if you're self-aware enough that all the things that we tried achieving or achieved, now we're more confidently self-aware. And old age comes with wisdom, right? And so I heard
you're not old. So why don't then women step up and change the culture?
I think there are grassroots movements. However, women still are not as assertive as men. A lot of times men just go up and ask for what they want with confidence, with no barriers. And yet women are just talking themselves out of it. And so, do we have I would say, the guts to do certain things? Of course we do. Many of us are extremely brave and bold and courageous, but certain times we have self-doubt, and a lot of self-doubt is very different from how men think. And so men, they're like, I'm willing to hear the no's. But when we actually build the stories in our heads to simulate
that makes you better CEOs, because you see things. I mean, there's a lot of hubris. There's a lot of, say the wrong thing, I get offended so easily. That doesn't make a very good CEO. Right?
I've never followed a convention.
But
in Silicon Valley, we always, for startup founders and all of these, the culture is never ask for permission, ask for forgiveness later. Because when you're disrupting, it doesn't exist yet. So you're often trying to create something, and then everybody will follow. Government policies will actually start to shape around you. So it's always like that.
That's good. That's good. Now, what do you think of, the very fast developments in AI, in high-level programming, where you don't actually need machine code, right, to know any machine code to put together something pretty good, right? Now I can download an app and create my own iOS app, no big deal. Just type in some very intuitive prompts in English, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got an app, a working app. You know, how is this changing the world?
Well, it is changing the world and changing rapidly, I would say. For those who don't have the contextual thinking, critical thinking around leveraging AI to create deeper tech, deeper complex problems, they won't understand. They won't understand. But for those who are actually using it for day to day, like these LLMs, it's helping us to be more productive, especially knowledge workers, to solve a recipe for like you,
Yeah.
or maybe be more creative
Yeah.
around your cooking style. Those are just table stakes. They are very common to solve. Anyone in sales, marketing, legal, all these different knowledge workers, accounting can be exponentially, I would say, moved or shaped in a positive way. But for solving complex problems, it still takes very heavy STEM knowledge, science, technology, engineering, and math, right? And so that's what AI made of. And so how do we accelerate that for the next generation? So it doesn't mean that you don't need to learn how to code. You can still build superficial things or solve the mundane problems or accelerate the productivity of that. But to solve complex workflows, complex problems, it will still take a lot more engineering effort or some model training, inferencing. So it depends on what the job to be done or task to be done calls for. Then you can apply different AI applications to solve those problems.
So, do you think that AI would democratize jobs in terms of, like, someone who's an arts graduate coming into tech? He doesn't need to know coding. He just needs, and he's creative. I mean, I'm going to assume that the arts graduate's creative.
Yeah.
And he knows what people like. So he knows how to create a GUI that's seamless, a graphical user interface that's interesting. He knows, which page. He comes in, he has no tech knowledge. And if you ask him about programming in C, he just glazes over. Do you think it would make more people come into tech with these new technologies?
Absolutely. I think everything will be tech. So
Okay, that's a bold statement.
yeah, everything will be tech. Even when we make a joke, Starbucks doesn't sell coffee. It's just a tech company with the storefront, right? So many of the experiences in the future will be led by technology and knowing how to apply technology to day-to-day lives. But the labor-intensive industry still will take some time. The creative spaces is now, I think to be a creative person, this is the best time to leverage AI to solve so many different things and to create so much more from the art scene. But in terms of creating a beautiful application or an application that can scale, it still takes so much critical contextual engineering, inferencing, training.
It takes the human touch, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you can create, unicorns. There's no such thing as unicorns anymore because you can actually create $1 billion business now with a few employees. And those are the ones who are actually leveraging technology to the fullest.
So can you tell me a bit about Perx, right? The company that you're running.
So we first started as a B2C loyalty app for consumers, but realized that Asia is such a fragmented ecosystem. It's really hard to scale. And without a lot of funding, it's going to be very difficult. So I decided to transition the business over to a B2B enterprise software as a service company, focusing on helping banks, insurance, telcos, all these other consumer-facing traditional brands to solve their customer engagement and loyalty play. And in a much more rapid, agile system that allows them to plug and play and to see, to build a very sophisticated rules engine that allows them to.
And that's amazing, right? Banks, until recently, all these telcos didn't realize they were sitting on a gold mine, right? I mean, it's like they've got a database where everybody else is fighting for.
Yes, they do. And they have so much data that they can monetize on. But because it's a highly regulated sector, it's hard to take some of that data to monetize because there's a jurisdiction, there's regulations and compliance to deal with. So it's not so easy to monetize the data that they have. But if you're a manufacturing company or like, you know, some of these CPG brands, it's very easy to monetize, and that's what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, take away the regulations. It's a gold mine.
It's a
right?
gold mine. Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting that on TikTok you've now got AI salespeople. You don't even need the human talent anymore, right? I mean, it's like us reading because of the tariffs. The Chinese have to sell their own goods to their own people, and a lot of these small companies can't afford real talents who do the selling of their products on TikTok. And they've just like, okay, I'm just going to get this AI salesperson, sales bot. I mean, it's like a lifelike sales bot to sell the stuff. I mean, it's so amazing.
Think the space is evolving rapidly. And if you're selling something that is low value and it's high volume, having bots is almost now like a mandatory way of applying technology to your company or businesses. But if it's high touch, you're selling $1 million deal. It still needs a lot of human intervention.
Okay, you know, we're both tech heads. We could talk for hours on this. Unfortunately,
I smell the fish.
I've got to move this on, and we're going to look at some photos. Where was this, and why is it significant?
So this one was a group of global CEOs coming together in a communications workshop because all of us were invited to speak as keynotes in the next Global Business Summit. It's part of YPO, the Young Presidents Organization. And so we got together in Miami just 6 months ago to share our knowledge.
Great. And this same lots of CEOs?
Yeah, so this is a committee that was formed to really transform the tech experience and platform, the member experience of YPO. So I'm one of the members.
So it's quite multicultural.
We have a Canadian, we have American, Indian, Omanian. This is my dad.
Dad, tell us about a bit of the history of your parents. I mean, where did they come from, or are they?
So my maternal grandmother was born in New York, and she came back to China at a very young age with her dad and the family, and so she grew up in China, in Guangzhou, China, and had her 5 kids, and then my mom's the oldest of the 5 children on my mother's side. And she met my dad, and they had us. And at that time, after the Cultural Revolution, my grandmother brought us back to the U.S. And so that's how we immigrated to the U.S.
Did she have, because she was born in the States, did she have citizenship all the time? Or?
Yeah, exactly. She leveraged her citizenship to bring us all back.
Wonderful. Amazing story.
And she was actually in her 50s that she didn't speak a word of English. So it was tough for her, but it was, Cultural Revolution was one of those periods, a lot of immigration. This is my dad's garden. And all of his vegetations in his backyard that he's growing on. And he plucked them, and then he would send it to me and Lisa.
So he's an avid gardener. So he does farm to table for the family, right?
Yes. He loves it. He's very proud of it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You have a network of, you support each other, you commiserate over things, things like that.
Yes. Everything. I think women are great at building communities and networks, and we share everything under the sun. So I do have a founders community, a women's leadership committee, women's CEO committee, and we bring each other together. We empower each other. We help each other. We support each other. And through the ups and downs, because during these life journeys, some of us are either mothers, career women, step back. Some of them step back and gave up their careers by choice. Some of us are going through perimenopause, and that's a big topic recently. There's a lot of research going into that.
And men just drink. And just be macho. Any problems? No, Meg. I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Just pour me another single malt. Right?
Yeah. I wish that was our case. But we do have fun too.
So, a closing question. What do you think the future of tech is for Singapore? And with a slant towards women. I mean, there's a lot of talk. Everybody wants to be the Silicon Valley, or I don't know what the new term is, of Asia. We haven't found it. Singapore hasn't stepped up in terms of finance, the right habitat for excitement for billion-dollar unicorns. And what do we need to achieve that?
Singapore as a market is very small. If you look at even the Asia landscape is so fragmented. That's the unfortunate situation. Different languages, different religions, different contexts, different currencies. And the immaturity of those markets also drags the region down. And we're not surrounded by the talent that we need to build up the whole ecosystem. And so even if we attract it, and Singapore government has done a fantastic job in trying to build that ecosystem to bring and attract these talents from foreign countries. But when it's piecemeal and they're not coming in drones and there's no enclave to rely on, that ecosystem constantly is ebbs and flow. It's not building on top of one another. It doesn't have an exponential, incremental feel to it. So it doesn't feel like it's a linear growth either. So then you feel lonely. If you bring the top dogs in, they want people who have scaled, built, amazing companies to come here. Why would somebody who built Uber or other companies or Airbnb want to come here when they can stay there to work amongst themselves and create more amazing companies because there's so much great talent, great financing? The conservative nature of also risk-averse investment mindsets is not helping the ecosystem. Over there, we talk about moonshot deals. How to invest in something that before pre-revenue is already valued at 500 million or 300 million. We cannot even fathom that here. If it's not showing brick and mortar type of, and we talk about cash flow business, over there it's about, I'm going to put a lot of money to give you a shot at creating something way bigger that will disrupt the globe. Not here where it's, I'll give you a few million to figure out a small problem. Now you compare China and the US. How did China become so...
A lot of them are homegrown.
Exactly.
They just threw money at the boys in China, the smart ones, and China has a large enough population to actually come up with amazing world-beating stuff.
Right. Yeah. And we're looking for some wins similar to Australia, similar to Estonia, a few, because they are not a big market either, but they built billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar businesses, tech businesses. So it can come out of Singapore, and I think within time.
Do you think it's the culture of, although it's changing, it's, typically in Singapore, you are encouraged to get your A's. That means get your A's. That's it.
Yeah. Academically focused.
I don't, if you get your A's, that means a successful life.
Right.
That's it. But it's not that. You can get C's, or you don't even have to complete university, like a lot of the tech giants, right?
Right.
But they've got that imagination and that drive and the desire to take risks.
Right. Exactly. If we can actually foster a lot more creativity to take more risk, academics is not everything. Right.
Absolutely.
So you see the majority of the founders globally who are, they actually dropped out of school or they are C students. They're more creative. But, I don't want to give the Asian families the context that education is unimportant. My dad was very, very hard on us to get, straight A's and whatnot. Very academic focus as well, that generation. But now that this generation has so much knowledge at their fingertips, now applying that knowledge is the biggest, hurdle.
But I think that if it's, if anyone stands a chance, whether it's a moonshot or not, right? I think Singapore stands a chance. Be less rigid, be more imaginative, be more willing to take risks. Yeah, we can definitely have more unicorns.
Yes.
Right? This is a seabass, very common on Chinese tables.
Yeah, I eat a lot of that.
Yeah.
Cantonese, we love
Absolutely.
steamed fish.
Yeah. So this is going to be a Cantonese-style steamed fish.
Cantonese migrants brought delicate steaming from Guangzhou in the 1930s. Soy, ginger, and spring onion turned simple fish into a zhicha centerpiece and a celebration of freshness.
And then I'll be making, it's stir-fried, but the vegetables are soupy, in a soup. I'm going to be making it with some
The 1,000-year-old,
Peitan.
yeah, Peitan.
Peitan, 1,000-year-old egg, soy sauce, sesame oil, chili, ginger, garlic, some white pepper and an egg, and some stock. That's it. You know, Chinese cooking is great because it's quite simple in its ingredients. The difficult bit is in all the timing. How do you time it? That's why, when you eat in a Chinese restaurant, you see the guy stir fry and say, "Yeah, I can do that." But no, stir frying takes years of practice. So this is a typical wok hei setup. All right. If you look at the fire,
Yeah.
it's like a jet burner.
Yeah.
First, a bit of oil, and this heats up really quick. Okay. First, ginger, the aromatics go in. And then the garlic actually goes in last. Chili. So now you see why, now you know why Chinese cooking is so fast, right? Because it's a really intense exercise.
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, now garlic goes in. So now the sugar's going. It's not your bird's eye chili, it's a normal chili. Yeah. So now I'm going to add in the Peitan. A bit of
Soy sauce.
soy sauce. Yeah, oyster sauce. And then white pepper. And then stock. So finally I'm going to break in an egg.
I haven't tried this recipe before. Wow, I smell the fish. It's almost ready.
Yeah. Okay, and here,
A hot oil.
yeah, this is the bit where cooking becomes an extreme sport.
It's the balance. Just enough steam, just the right sizzle. Ginger, soy, and oil in quiet harmony.
Wow. Fish is perfectly cooked. Very nice.
Interesting.
There's a little spiciness to it.
So on a typical work day, what would you eat? On the go food like sandwiches, quick
Salads.
salads.
Yeah.
Good choice. I like the Chinese diet.
Yeah.
You know, I think you and I would have grown up in families where we would have rice and all sorts of side dishes. That's typically how the Chinese eat. And the side dishes, my grandmother would make sure that most of it is not fried or deep fried. Most of it would be steamed
Yes.
or, some healthy way. And that didn't come about from knowledge, deep fry is no good. It's just Chinese cuisine. A lot of it is like that.
It's very healthy.
Yeah, it is very healthy. So what has life been like for you in Singapore?
I think for the last 12, 13 years being in Singapore has been quite an experience. You get a different lens of Western and the East meets West kind of mentality. But the culture itself is very multicultural. The diversity and the openness of people willing to help, and it's so efficient here. I go back to the States, it's bureaucracy. Everything takes a lot longer to operate and to complete. And even doing our taxes here, it's like you click a button and it's already done, you know?
Fast, right? It's like, you know,
you don't have to think.
People make movies about people doing taxes, right? And how stressful, you know?
Yeah.
Singapore is like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
What do you think that you have taken away from Singapore?
I would say perspective of harmony. The fact that people are so willing to help each other. There's a community in every nook and corner of the society here. I've made so many friends in different circles, and they're not congruent in a way, but then at the same time they are. There's a lot of similarities, but I think the willingness to help each other, it has been so refreshing for me. The minute I came in 2009, stepped foot into Singapore, fresh bee coming in, I had very little friends, and then there were these expats that completely welcomed me in, and then from that it cascaded to other Singaporeans, and then the Singaporean female leaders and female entrepreneur group, they started to help.
They're lovely. I remember them.
Oh,
I mean,
amazing.
You guys are tight, right?
Yeah. So, and we want to pay it forward. We want to help each other. So all the networks that we created, it's all about how do we give back, what kind of, not just stories, but you know, from a digital and a physical space, how do we help each other, not women, but just in humanity as a whole?
Yeah.
You know, how do we share experiences beyond that and actually share playbooks?
Yeah.
Because our triumphs and struggles mean a lot to our personal journey, but how do we pay it forward and share those?
I think paying it forward is really important. I mean, especially now where you have the means to do it, right? Social media, the internet, you can share your experience with people.
Yes.
And if you have it, why not really share it and make it a difference, you know?
Yeah.
In the old days, prior to the internet, you had the experience unless you... That's why they always say in the old days, let me seek out a guru, and then you go on a walk about the world and you find your mentor, right? Now the mentors are all over the place. You want to learn something, just go to YouTube. That's what I do.
Or ChatGPT or any of the AI.
Yeah, that's it. The gurus are all over the place.
Right.
Okay, that was a wonderful conversation, Anna.
Thank you, Chris.
And I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoy speaking because I've been out of the industries for so long. To a fellow techie, it's just refreshing when you speak, you know, to someone who understands what you're saying and not glaze over. What was that, right?
But this is your passion now.
Yeah. My family is my passion.
Yeah. That's lovely. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
From breaking tech ceilings to breaking bread, Anna reminds us that building the future takes heart, hustle, and community. This is HOTPLATE SG60.